Hey y'all, welcome back to Tab Space. So today we're about to get into a different type of topic. So since I started my walk with God, I've noticed that there's a lot of church hurt in the Black community, probably in a lot of other communities. I'm not as involved in all other communities, but I know for the Black community specifically, there's a big issue with church hurt. And unfortunately, it draws people away from God. And for me, I I identify with my relationship with God as me being a child of God, me believing in Jesus Christ. It's really hard for me to call myself a Christian because nowadays what a Christian is to me is not what a Christian was supposed to be. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in the church. I think that there's a lot of manipulation that goes on in certain churches. And it's not all. I'm not going to sit here and say like every single church has a terrible pastor and everybody's hypocritical and judgmental and all these things. That's not what I'm going to tell you. I've been to churches where I don't feel judged. I might feel as though there are people that care about me and want to guide me in the right direction, but I don't feel judged. But unfortunately, there are not a lot of people that can share that experience. And it's due to situations like what we're about to talk about in this video. So, things like this are why I have decentered the church part of my relationship with God and centered God. Identifying with a specific religion is not so big of a thing for me anymore as it was at one point. It's more of what's my relationship with God? My relationship with God is very personal. It used to be something that I would like, I don't want to say boast about, but kind of like broadcast. And I'm not as big into doing that currently. And it's not that I stopped believing in God. It's not that I stopped following him or any of that. It's just I had to take into consideration other people's perspective on things like what we're about to talk about have pushed people away from the church. And unfortunately, that pushes people away from God. And that shouldn't be the intention of any religion or any group that's focused on God. The point should be to build your relationship with Him. And of course, to have some community. So I find it important to create that community within myself. Thankfully, my bestie has created a Bible study group that I feel as though is allowing me to get a sense of that community in Christ and not necessarily have to put the church as the center. God's the center for me. So, um, hold on because I gotta do a little shameless plug. But it is Christian Bible Study 216. If y'all are not following it, follow it and come to Bible study because we always want to expand our community in Christ. But that said, I've yapped enough. I've prompted y'all enough for what we're about to get into. But we're going to talk about two situations that involve pastors that are pushing people away from the church instead of creating an environment that all feel welcome and all come to worship the Lord.
Happy New Year and hello. Thank you for watching and listening to the Podacity with Keto Rose. I'm popping this shit in real life. They popping that shit for real. Honestly, in 2024, I told myself that 2025 was going to be my best year yet. 2025 took me and my home girls out. I'm surprised I even have a follicle of hair. But because this episode is all about spirituality and the Lord, I want to thank God in advance for our 2026, you guys.
Amen.
I want to thank God in advance. If you don't believe in God, the universe, Allah, Buddha, I want to thank them in advance for the beautiful year we're all going to have. 2026 isn't going to be anything like 2025. Oh my God. And if it is, hopefully it's the last year. Okay. So I wasn't even going to talk about the Jamal Bryant situation. I really have a low capacity to keep on listening to these pastors turned podcasters, these podcasters turned pastors or political figures. It's been a lot. It's been just way too much for a person to be able to consume, right? So I wasn't even going to talk about it because I understand that him and his wife went viral because she had a very, very sexy dress on that she decided to wear to a fundraiser. And a lot of people were upset about the dress. And all this internet chitta-chatta pissed Jamal off so bad that he had to dedicate his New Year Eve sermon to addressing the haters. And addressing the haters he did. Jamal said everybody that has a problem with his wife's dress, well, they're petty, they're insecure, and they're jealous. He said they're small-minded, and they are church needs that never ain't no been nowhere.
Because the other day the internet went crazy about a dress my wife had on. Insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded. But because you ain't never been nowhere and ain't never been exposed to nothing,
How do you build a congregation talking to your congregation like this? Like, I'm sure some of the people in his congregation added to the internet hate. Okay, listening.
I bought the dress and I like it. I don't care whether you like it or not. She ain't mad to y'all, she mad to me.
And honestly, you guys, he's right. If the congregation don't have a problem with it, then the congregation don't have a problem with it. And now those are the people who pays his bills. Those are the people that make sure that him and his wife can step out the way they step out. So I ain't mad at him. All he's saying is if you don't agree and you don't like the way that I preach and you don't like the way that I teach, then don't come here.
You got the wrong church.
He's cooking hot grits.
Side note, a couple of you had let me know you don't like the voice, you find it annoying, and asked me to stop that, stop it, change it. And I just want to just go ahead and address that for just a second.
No.
No. Even that isn't the reason why I decided to cover this topic. What got me was the fact that Jamal said, I want a wife that I'm excited to run home to. I want a wife that gets me excited, that gets me aroused. He said that I'm the one that bought the dress. Now, the body came like that, but I'm the one that bought the dress, and I think that my wife looks amazing. And then he quoted Maya Angelou. I don't know where in the Bible Maya Angelou was. I don't know if she was like with Jesus. I don't know if she was like John the Baptist's baby mama. I'm not really sure.
I wanted a wife I would rush home to, that I wanted to be excited to see. When we walked in there, I said, shake it fast, watch yourself. If you don't have nobody that you excited about, trade that booger in and find you somebody that can talk about how did you bag that? Maya Angelou in her poem Phenomenal Woman said,
All right. Let me just stop it. Stop the video. Stop the show. Okay. Whew. It's a lot to unpack here already. We ain't even barely into the video. So, for one, like, I really don't care what people wear. I don't always wear the most modest of clothing. But the issue is you're a pastor, you're running a church, and Christian values, part of Christian values are you lead by example and you should cover up, right? There's a lot of churches, now I'm not going to say his church, but there are a lot of churches that condemn and call out for wearing revealing clothing. I think that as human beings, people should do what they want to do, but I think that when you are running a church it's kind of like you're not leading by example. It's kind of giving hypocrite because we sit here and we read this Bible that tells us not to do exactly what your wife is doing and exactly what you're endorsing. So, is this a Christian church or is this what kind of church is this? Like what religion is this church abiding by? If you're going to call yourself a Christian church and you're not following the word, the word that Christ wrote, can we still call this a Christian establishment? And I'm not saying that he's wrong or they're wrong. I'm just trying to start a conversation of if what you're doing is going directly against the religion that you're preaching, can we even still call this a Christian church? Or is there another philosophy that you live by that you want your churchgoers to live by? Because the problem is when you start splitting hairs about what part of the Bible you're going to follow and what part of the Bible you're not going to follow as a pastor, we all got to answer to God one day. And the Bible is very specific about when you are a teacher of the word, you're judged that much harder than those that do not teach the word. Hold on, let me find it. Let's see. James 3:1 warns that teachers face a stricter judgment because of their greater responsibility and influence in guiding others in faith, holding them to a higher standard for their words and actions to align with the truth that they proclaim. So, Pastor Jamal Bryant, do you claim Christianity? What kind of church does Pastor Jamal see? Pastor Jamal Bryant is a senior pastor of New Birth Ministry Baptist Church.
Y'all, it's editing tab. I done realized that I was reading y'all the definition of a baptism and not what a Baptist church is. So let's just clear this up real quick. So Baptist churches are Protestant Christian tradition emphasizing the Bible as the ultimate authority, salvation by grace through faith in Jesus Christ, and the autonomy of the local church, with key practices including believers' baptism by full immersion as a public declaration of faith, not a requirement for salvation, and a direct personal relationship with God. They believe in the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and uphold religious liberty and soul competency, individual responsibility before God. Just wanted to clear that up.
Okay. How do Baptists feel about, I guess dress code's a good way to put it. Okay. Baptists generally favor modest, respectful, and somewhat formal attire, like smart casual, emphasizing a focus on God over fashion, but specific expectations vary widely by congregation, with some Southern and independent churches preferring skirts and dresses for women and collared or slacks and collared shirts for men, while others embrace casual wear like jeans as long as it's not distracting or revealing. Modesty, avoiding low-cut tops, short skirts, and tight clothing is a common thread, but the emphasis is often on the heart and the spirit, not strict rules. So I think that all of that is kind of up to interpretation. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, you're totally wrong. And da, 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 da. Again, I'm not one to not wear revealing clothing. That's not the point of the video. The point is you're not practicing what you preach. If you're a Baptist, that dress is going directly against being modest. Now, I can tell based off what I'm reading, y'all are not worried so much about the strict rules, but more about your spirituality. Beautiful. Love that. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to judge nobody. Look, the dress looks good. It's just, should a first lady be wearing a dress like that? That's up to interpretation. I would say no, because you're splitting hairs a bit when it comes to the Bible. Um, and this is why I personally am not big on religion, because I'm not even gonna call myself a Christian and then start splitting hairs about what I choose to practice and what I choose not to. But I'm also not a pastor, and I'm not going to be a pastor, nor am I going to choose. Your husband or your wife is a representative of you. If you're a pastor and your wife wears very revealing clothing to any event, with you or without you, that becomes representative of you, and it is showing hypocrisy. Okay, let's move past that part. Y'all kind of let that sit in your brains, and you let me know in the comments what you think about that part of the issue. Here's my real issue with the whole speech. If you're not excited to go home to your wife, trade that booger in. So, what part of the Bible do they talk about trading your wife in for any reason? Where where's that acceptable? I understand divorce is a thing in this country. I understand there's genuine reasons to get divorced. But because your wife is not arousing you, being the reason for you to leave her, is that really what we're teaching the congregation? And you know darn well that within itself is going to lead to adultery, because, well, Pastor Bryant said that if I'm not excited to see you, I need to trade you in, and I'm not excited to see you anymore, and I don't really want to go through a divorce. So yeah, I cheated, and I have every right to, under God. You see where we start to have, I have trepidation, and I understand why there's a lot of people that are afraid to be a Christian or afraid to follow the Lord, because it's like, so you can sit here and read off all these things that I'm not allowed to do every Sunday, have sermons, conversations, Bible studies, all of these things. But you get to go, and not only can your wife wear revealing clothing, but you get to trade her in when she don't look good to you. Guess what? We all get old. We're all going to get old one day. We're all going to get old. I'm not going to say we're all going to get fat, because we're not necessarily. Some people have a different build, and they get old and they don't gain a bunch of weight. But the point is, we're not going to look the way that we look today for the rest of our lives, no matter how we look, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So to give up on your partner because they don't look appealing to you in a moment, come on now. Like, and then there's so many reasons why somebody could start to not look so appealing to you. You got cancer, for example. You have alopecia. You have all these other types of diseases, diabetes, like you name it. All these can affect your appearance. And if the sentiment is, I only need to be with my wife until she doesn't look good to me anymore, like, what are we doing? And literally, when you get married, it's for better or for worse, until death do us part. Good times, bad times, till death do us part. Not death of your beauty standards, not death of your attractiveness. Is like when we're no longer here, that's when we can be separate under God. But you're telling me she don't look good, trade her in? So what do you stand for? What does this church stand for? I would like to understand, because so far we don't stand for the beliefs of the Bible. We don't stand for the covenant of marriage. So what is this church standing for? And how can you possibly get on stage and condemn anybody else and their actions when this is how you behave? On stage, in front of millions of people.
It's the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman.
This has nothing to do with Christianity. And he's got it on the freaking screen. He got it on the screen like it's gospel, like it's either gospel or something from the Bible. Are you kidding me? This is a very worldly conversation that has no place in the church, bro. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? God is probably up there upset, very much upset by this behavior because this is crazy. Like, this is insane to me.
That's me. Y'all are so busy raising up a standard based off of Eurocentric white women standards that you can't handle a woman that got hips authentically. I bought the dress, but I didn't buy the body. It came like that.
The famous poem that talks about the essence of being a woman, our hips, our lips, our stride. Okay, Jamal said a whole bunch of shit that doesn't have anything to do with the Bible or even the dress.
Okay.
And I just think it's really funny. I'm not here to judge, but we're going to have to call a thing a thing.
Everything that I said prior to this and after this is alleged. I'm alleged, I'm AI. I don't even exist. This is surely got to be a simulation.
I'm not judging anybody. I think the dress looked good on her. I think the dress was incredibly sexy. In fact, that was my first thought when I saw the dress. I said, that's incredibly sexy. But that doesn't take away from what people are saying. People are righteously angry. And they're angry because there's a certain standard that a pastor has and lives by and walks by, right? And that standard is also extended on to his first lady. This is what we think that a woman of the cloth should look like. A woman of the cloth shouldn't have a see-through dress. You know, Jamal also said it wasn't see-through. It was nude.
The dress was not see-through. The dress was flesh color.
But y'all ain't never been nowhere, you church rats, you nasty church.
It gave the illusion of see-through, right? So it wasn't see-through. You couldn't see her nipples or her coochie, but it gave the illusion of it being see-through. So it was a nude dress and all the embellishments were perfectly patterned close to that putty tat. And that's just what it is. And that's what people were saying. That is an incredibly revealing and sexy dress. And one of the things that church women have always taught us, grandma, big mama, has always taught us was leave things into the imagination, right? Leave things to the imagination. You shouldn't be going out here showing all your lady bits or even the illusion of your lady bits because you're supposed to be modest. You're supposed to cover up. You're supposed to have self-respect. That is what elder church-going women used to tell us. But when you call yourself a man of God and you call people that are trying to hold you accountable for your actions and your wife's actions haters, when you call them jealous,
insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded,
when you say that they're overweight, Pastor pointed out that people got titties. Pastor said you're talking a lot of about me, but you have titties and you're just mad that you can't look the way my wife looks. There was so much jam-packed in this sermon for New Year's. It wasn't even funny. I'm going to get to the part that really got me. I am, because I still haven't touched on it at all. The part that really got me was the fact that he said he wanted somebody sexy, right? I'm paraphrasing, but he wanted somebody sexy, somebody that he was excited to come home to. And if you don't have anybody that you're excited to come home to, then trade that booger in for somebody that does excite you.
If you don't have nobody that you excited about, trade that booger in and find you somebody that can talk about.
I got a problem with that there. I got a problem with that there because I'm thinking of all the older church women, right, that had to sit through that sermon that had nothing to do about the Lord and nothing to do about scripture and everything to do with a clap back for the internet. Imagine a full Sunday you got dressed to hear somebody address their internet beef.
Man.
Imagine.
What?
You could have that's why I log
I'm
in
going
through
home.
the internet. I'll just go ahead and log in online.
I'm
That way,
going
if
home.
Pastor get to talking crazy, I can switch it to another one. Let's watch a true crime today. This is going to be True Crime Sunday. Absolutely not. I'm thinking of all the older women that do practice modesty, that have lived by this standard because this is the standard, right? Cover up, close your legs, don't be too promiscuous, don't come out here and have a Jezebel spirit or act like a hoe. Don't crave attention, don't desire attention. If you're beautiful, if you're classy, attention will come to you, but don't put yourself out there so much where you're getting the wrong type of attention, because just like you could get the attention of a saint, you can get the attention of a sinner. Hello. For their husbands to hop up and say, yes, pastor, preach, pastor, you ain't lying, pastor, when it comes to this man saying, if you're not excited about seeing your wife, if your wife might be one of those overweight, over titty having people that I talked about, church needs, that I keep talking about this sermon. If you are married to somebody less attractive or somebody that didn't have enough money gotten from tithes to buy a booty and a body, then you can trade your wife in.
Trade that booger in and find you somebody.
And we know historically, pastors, deacons, sorry to say this, regular men that, go to church and aren't in the church, are historically known for trading their wives in, for trading their girls in, for seeing women as nothing more than objects, right? Trophies, if you will. Pastor Jamal said that he wants a woman that other men look at and say, dag, how did you bag that?
She fine as shit. She got that fat booty. When I think about your girl, I want to get all up in it. Good job, Pastor. Good job.
What are you talking about? I want a woman that other men lust after, which leads us into the point of a lot of men get into relationships so that they can impress other men. A lot of men do a lot of things to impress other men. Let me give you another example. Strip clubs. Men in strip clubs will throw an exuberant amount of money in front of another man to show him, to establish dominance over the section and show him I got it like that. It has nothing to do with whether or not Butterfly's booty is flapping good or not on this Sunday morning or night. I don't know. I haven't been to a strip club in a very, very long time. So I don't even know when they do it, but you get what I'm saying. I think a lot of pastors are filled with lust. And no, I'm not going to sit up here and spend every video saying, well, not all. I'm not going to do it. I think a lot of pastors are filled with lust. I think a lot of these content creators and social media stars and podcasters have acquired enough fame and money to really forget where their foundation was, or maybe when they started. I don't know if they were always like that and then got money, or changed into a POS when they got money. But a lot of men and women alike that cannot control their lust end up hurting everybody around them. They end up making monumental mistakes that ruin their careers, that ruin the reputation, that ruin the way that their congregation feels about them and views them as leaders, or audience, if you will, if you're not talking about pastors, right? Audience views them. And it's like, are y'all that freaked out? Now, the pastor was mad. He said he's a public servant. And we can talk about him all day long, but we cannot talk about his wife. But the thing about it is, if you as a pastor and your wife as a first lady know the position that you hold in the church, then you know that the congregation and non-church goers are going to have a conversation. A thought was provoked. You did it. You provoked a thought. And he was also mad at the fact that nobody talks about the $4 million that he's donated to the United Negro Funds. And I don't know if these are the good Negroes or the bad Negroes, because he was calling us church Negroes earlier that ain't never been nowhere or had nothing.
Now, they didn't say anything about the $4 million that was raised for the United Negro College Fund.
He done took this out of every mega church black pastor book ever. They do this and it gets me. Ooh, it boils my blood. Why? God tells us when we give, we're supposed to give and not let our left hand know what our right hand is doing. Why are you telling us that you gave any amount of money to any foundation? Let's start there. Why are you telling us this? What is this supposed to do to change the minds of the people that don't like what your wife wore that day? What's the point? Two, how'd you get that money? From your congregation. So it's not you donating the money to the United Negro Fund. It's your church, the people sitting in these pews listening to you drone on for only God only knows how long about your wife wearing a revealing dress that she had no business wearing if she's a first lady of a church. But why do people always feel the need to do something and then tell everybody about it and then think that God is looking at that like you just did something so great. You did it to tell people that you did it. So you didn't do it for God. If you did it for God, you wouldn't even be bringing it up because again, what the hell? Excuse me. I'm gonna have to bleep that out because of the nature of the video. What the heck does that got to do with what we're talking about? First off, what does your wife's dress got to do with church? Second off, what does this got to do with the conversation that has nothing to do with church that you brought up to begin with? What does you giving money to a black fund, which you're a black man, what does that got to do with the church talking about your wife's dress? And again, what does your wife's dress got to do with the church? I'm so confused, y'all. Like, I'm so lost as to where are you going with this? We're talking about 20 different things at the same time, acting like they're all the synonymous, like they actually all tie into each other. They don't, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense, y'all. I don't get it. What is he doing?
They never mentioned that she prayed until heaven came down.
But he donated $4 million to the United Negroes. I guess the United Negroes have been somewhere and done something and have earned Jamal's respect. And he wanted everybody to know that we were focused on the wrong thing. But again, when they say she's a brick house, we couldn't think about anything else but your wife's ensemble. Period. Point blank. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the outfit. Me personally, I thought she looked real sexy. I thought she looked really sexy. I thought all the embellishments were going down her hoo-ha to show like this coochie still good. That's what it gave to me. This coochie still good. Body's intact. I look good. I smell good. I'm a rich. Like that's what it gave. It didn't really give first lady. But again, if you're changing the standard of what you believe that the first lady should look like, then you're allowed to change that standard within your church. And other people are allowed to say, well, I'm going to withdraw my support from that church. And a lot of people stood up and they were so excited about what Jamal had to say. And it's like, I think we're moving the goalposts. People said that your wife's dress was inappropriate. He brought up rape culture, right? A lot of women stood up and cheered. I don't know how we got to rape culture. Go past.
We have swallowed an Americanized rape culture. The American rape culture.
Basically, he's tired of it, right? He's tired of this double standard. Nobody cares about how men dresses, and we need to stop being lustful and tempted by women, right? That's why he brought up the phenomenal woman. Women are sexy and don't deserve to be attacked. Nobody is attacking. Nobody is. Nobody is attacking your wife right in the back of an alley or saying that she should be because she's dressed like a harlot. I have seen church folk call her a harlot and a Jezebel. I have seen it. But nobody is saying that. They're saying for a first lady, as by this standard, she's inappropriate. She's inappropriately dressed and she shouldn't have came out the house like that. And whether or not she drives you crazy or makes you sexually aroused or gets you excited, that's what they've been preaching to us, to be modest. They've been telling women to be modest. Modesty is a sin. That's what older women and men have been telling women forever. So if you're saying now that it's not a sin and that you can and should be able to go with nude or see-through illusioned garments on, then say that. Don't bring up rape culture. Don't bring up the fact that people asked women, what are you wearing? Because respectfully, your wife wasn't even touched. That has nothing to do with this conversation at all. We're moving the goalposts. We're trying to flip words and add all types of shit in there to get you confused. The enemy will confuse you. The enemy will try to confuse you when he can't use you. Hallelujah! He brought up Eurocentric beauty standards, right?
Y'all are so busy raising up a standard based off of Eurocentric white women standards.
So
The Eurocentric white woman standards. What standard was that dress to? Nobody said we don't like the shape of her nose. We don't like that she's got a bodacious body. That's not what anybody said. They said you run a church. The first lady of a church should not be wearing that. What does that got to do with white people? I'm so confused. Like he's just saying stuff. He's just saying anything at this point. Anything that'll stick. Anything that's like a buzzword, like a trigger right now in this country, he's jumping on it. Doubling down. 10 toes. 10 toes, steel toe, boots 10 toes down. What are you talking about, bro? That don't none of this got to do with nothing. Not the church, not the outfit, none of it. Oh my goodness. If I was in that audience, I'd have to get up and walk out because what are you doing?
So now it's not only about rape culture, the dress. We're still just talking about this dress. It's not only about rape culture, but it's also about the fact that she's a black woman. And if she was a white woman with, here we go, right? We got a pastor that's up there talking country, calling people Negroes. And now we got to add it in. We got to add the finishing touches of a country Negro pastor, which is if the white man. We're not talking about white people. This dress has nothing to do with rape or white people. It just doesn't. So the whole, if a white woman did it, a white woman wouldn't go to new birth. Right. Not to say that there's no white members, but a white woman, the woman that you're talking about that's going to these fundraisers and that's supposed to be at a high, the highest, one of the highest positions at a church, right? The first lady, somebody that's revered and admired and looked up to, right? A white woman wouldn't go there. We're not talking about white women and what white women do and what white women wear. We're talking about our black American standard of what a first lady is supposed to look like. Period. Point blank. And if you're mad at anybody, be mad at the church. If you're mad at anybody, Jamal, you have to be mad at the church because the church is the one that created this standard. The church is the one that created this standard. People have been saying all along, hey, I believe in Jesus.
And you run a church. The church said this and you run a church. That's like I got a job, right? I work a corporate job. And I got to go in and I got to hit that clock and I have to wear casual attire, business casual attire, right? And I come in. See, look, this is just exposing something that I needed to realize about myself. This example I'm gonna give you is actually something that I've done before. Okay, I work at a corporate office. The attire is business casual. I come in, my outfit is just a little too revealing for my body type and just in general. My outfit's too revealing. I get sent home because there's a standard that's been set and I'm not following it. Now I'm mad at corporate America because I came in dressed in a way I didn't have any business being dressed. You signed up. I signed up for that job. I knew the dress code and I did not do what I needed to do. So I had to deal with that consequence. And it took me until I sat down and made this video to even realize that that's exactly what that was. You can't be mad at what you signed up for.
Jesus, but this is what I want to dress like. I believe in Jesus, but this is what I want to eat. I believe in Jesus, but I smoke and I drink a little bit. I believe in Jesus, but I'm sleeping with the deacon and the pastor. People have been trying to modify the Bible to go with their narrative and how they live their life forever. It's always going to happen because I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel convicted. I don't want to. But since I am a pastor, I do have a job in which I condemn and convict others. All I'm
Okay.
saying is, one, do I think that you should trade in your wife if she no longer excites you? I think that for better or worse, right? Again, this is all from the church. Again, this is all from the standard of marriage and what it means to really stick with one another and to progress together. And even in sickness, even in financial disaster, no matter what happens, if we go through a traumatic event together, if you get fat and ugly, if I get fat and ugly, if we have going through a sickness, it doesn't matter because we're married. It doesn't matter because we love each other. We're married. We've made this commitment under God, right? In front of our family. We promised God that we would stick together. That's what marriage is. That's what that commitment of marriage is. So that whole, I didn't appreciate the comment, right, of his congregation was too excited about the fact that they were going to be included in some internet beef. The congregation was so excited about pastor bringing up valid points that still had nothing to do with the dress, valid points of rape culture and Eurocentric standards that had nothing to do with the conversation at all, that they didn't hear. And this is what the issue that I have with women. A lot of women, we get so deep into our feelings or how something makes us feel, we ignore logic. This man is saying that if you don't look like that and your husband isn't attracted anymore, if the spark is gone, never mind, since we're talking about double standards, never mind the church men with titties, receding hairlines, saggy balls, I mean, we can keep going, hair up and down the or whatever, however men look when they start to age and whatever happens that is unattractive to men when they start to age, because everybody ages, right? Everybody does. If you don't excite your husband anymore, he needs to trade you the booger. That's what he calls you. He called you a booger.
Booger in and find you somebody.
He need to trade that booger in and go get you somebody that men can look at and say, how'd you bag that? If you can't do it for your man anymore, then he is obligated by the standard to trade your boogery ass in and find somebody better. What do you think down below? Do you think that the dress wasn't that big of a deal, or do you think it was unbecoming of a first lady? Let me know your thoughts. Speaking of trading that booger in, that's exactly what Pastor Elijah McDavid did. He decided he didn't want to be with the woman that he impregnated anymore. He decided that he did no longer want to be married to the woman that he got down on his knee for before Jesus and asked for her hand in marriage. He decided that he no longer wanted to be with her. In fact, he had already been in a relationship and was still in a relationship with a woman that went to the same church. It's just, here's the thing about churches, right? I don't knock going to church. I feel like a lot of people feel lost in this world. They want to be connected spiritually to God, and they're hoping that their mentors, their pastors, their deacons, all these figures inside of the church can guide them, can help them, can give them answers. The same with life coaches and therapists. People want answers. People want closure. People want to feel better. People want to get out of pain. People want to understand how to cope with their traumas, how to heal from their trauma. That's what people want. My issue with people that grift, my issue with people that sit up here and use this platform in order to play around with people's money and emotions, Smokey. These high figures will see these vulnerable people and say, are you hurt? Are you sad? Have you been hurt? Are you lost? Do you feel like you're out of hope? Do you feel like the lowest you've ever been? Come and join me. Do as I do, right? And it's like, this is how these cults get started. I'm not saying every church is a cult. Let me know down below what preacher you listen to, what life coach you listen to that has really helped you and you feel like they're actually living what they preach, because that's the thing. If you're not going to practice what you preach, then I'm obligated to assume that what you're preaching is a pile of, in my opinion.
I agree. And honestly, as far as like online pastors, there's only one church that I'll ever watch Okay, I'm not going to say ever because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. There's only one church that I can currently say I'll watch this church, and it's the one that I grew up in because it is a home to me. And I've never felt, I know that there's been things that have gone wrong before, but I don't personally feel as though the people that are currently running the church are doing so from a place of not practicing what they preach. I had to stop watching YouTube pastors of mega churches. I have one in mind specifically that I'm not going to mention because I'm sure a lot of y'all love her. But honestly, like, it's certain things that these online pastors will say that'll rub me the wrong way, that'll make me never want to tune in again. An assumption that us, the viewer, or anybody in the pews would envy the pastor will always be a reason why I just click, I'm done. No, I'll never watch you again. The assumption that somebody's envious of you, whether they are or not, it's giving like vanity to me. It's giving like, yeah, you envy me because I have this, and not thinking about these people don't even envy me or what I have, but if anything, they may want the gift that I have. Like, I don't know. Point being, I've been led astray when it comes to mega churches and some some pastors that are often on YouTube. And it's a lot of this, like kind of what she was saying earlier. I click on, and then if they get to saying something crazy that just doesn't even sit right in my spirit, I click off. And you do have that ability in a church, but it's a bit more of a scene when you do it. So it's tough. It's a tough position to be in, to love God but not know where to turn because all you've seen your entire life is people doing stuff like this that's just completely contradictory to the word, but then they turn around and they judge you and they act as though your sins are so much worse than theirs, knowing that, like I told you, like I read to y'all earlier, the pastor is held to a higher standard than me. So if he's out here doing whatever he wants to do, why can't I? Why do I still come in here, spend my time, spend my money, all of these things on a Sunday morning early when I'm tired, if I'm just going to sit here and get lied to and deal with hypocrisy every day or every Sunday?
In my opinion, a lady gets online and goes viral for doing that trend, right? That dance or. So dance or take your ex-husband back. So people will start dancing, right? And then the audience can assume that their ex-husband was so bad, you'd rather dance and act a fool rather than take him back. Well, the trend that she went viral for was dance or be a pastor's wife again. And of course, people wanted to know what was so bad about being a pastor's wife. Why are you choosing to dance? What's the story behind that? So she gets online and she shares a bit of the story.
Put a finger down if you met a man last year and he was just the best man in the world, or at least you thought he was. He was so intentional. He was so sweet. He was so thoughtful. He moved with purpose. He knew what he wanted, and he didn't play about you. You all dated for 9 months, and he asked you to marry him in April. Put a finger down if he announced your engagement in front of his entire congregation on Easter. Put a finger down if 2-3 days go by and you find out that your fiance had been cheating on you for about a good length of your relationship. Not only had he been cheating on you, but he was cheating on you with a member of the church.
She said that she met a man that was just the best man. And, that was See, here's the thing. Every time we hear about these situations where marriages and relationships with children go south really fast, it's always they were the best thing ever. And I just want a lot of women to understand that just because we feel really good about something, savor the moment, enjoy your time. We don't need marriages and babies right off the back. If this man is the best thing ever, then experience that best thing for a couple years.
And he gonna stay the best thing ever. There's no reason to rush. I had to realize that myself. I've always been somebody to just jump the gun, go off of my feelings and my emotions like they're facts, not give things the time that they need to settle down and gain the clarity I need to make the decision if this person's actually right for me. And it backfired on me every time. And I had to really do a lot of work and I had to go to therapy and understand that's not natural. It's not normal. It's not right. You don't need to do that. See who people are for who they are. People can wear a mask for a long time, but over time, people's mask starts to shed or it starts to fall. It slips a little bit. And if their mask starts to slip and you don't like who you see on the other side, you got to get up out of there. But you can't get up out of there very easily if you got an engagement ring on your finger or you're married or you got kids involved. So just take the time that's needed to really get to know somebody. And I'll be honest, I remember older women, there's this 90-day rule, right? I had an older woman tell me, give it 90 days, baby girl. And if they're still there and they're still being who they were 90 days in, you know, it might be worth pursuing, actually dating them, whatever the case may be. Guess what I had to realize? 90 days ain't long enough. 3 months ain't long enough. I honestly, me personally, I would say as far as like, let's sit down and talk about maybe getting engaged. I think you need at least a year, maybe even two, before you can really say, I know this person and I know for a fact I want to marry them. And I get it, 9 months is not far from a year. But the point is, give give things the time that they need to flourish. There's no need to rush. I'm not gonna sit here and say 9 months is rushing as far as asking him to be or asking her to be his girlfriend, but I don't know at what point they were officially dating. I just feel like 9 months is not a long enough time to really know somebody to marry them. You could get to know someone well enough to say, yeah, this is my partner and we're exclusive, but I just don't think that that's enough time to make the decision that we should get married. And I'm not telling y'all from being righteous and I ain't never been through it and I'll never understand what it's like to no. I'm talking about 3 months in, I'm getting proposed to, and I said yes. I'm telling y'all I get it. Don't make the same mistakes I did. I've been engaged twice. I'm only 24 years old. I don't, if, when I get engaged again, we're getting married, period. I'm not doing this third, fourth, fifth time being engaged and still ain't been married yet. I'm not doing that. And I'm not going to get married just to get married because I want to be married. No, I'm getting married to the person that I see myself living life with for the rest of my life. No ifs, ands, or buts. Because I got proposed to twice the wrong way, and I ain't gonna let it happen a third time the wrong way. We gonna do things the right way. Sometimes you gotta go through certain stuff to realize what it is that you want, don't want, what looks good, what doesn't. It takes time, it takes experience, but just be careful because once they get that ring on your finger and they take you to that courthouse and you sign your life on that paper, you're signing your life away on that paper, or that baby comes out and they attach themselves to you legally by writing on that birth certificate, it's not so easy to just walk away.
Because some real shit's gonna come out regardless. People always want to show up as representative. They want to be something that they're not. And the fact is, a lot of people do. And the fact is, a lot of people can wear that mask for a very long time. But the mask eventually falls off, and you have to see that person for exactly who they are. She said this man was charismatic and great looking and had position and purpose and knew who he was. And it's like, you're at church and your area's getting a little moist down there. Instead of learning about the Lord, you're lusting over the pastor. You're lusting over this man that has this perceived power, right? This man that could make a congregation move. This man that is admired in the community, within the community, and you're getting all lustful for him, right? So they end up probably doing the nasty. Again, when you do that, people don't believe in soul ties, but you do the nasty, you get all tied up, everybody's juices gets mixed up with each other's juices, and now we're in lust, but we think it's love. And now we are in lust. She said everything happened so quick, right? Within 9 months, she was engaged. He had announced it at Easter service. That's a really big deal. You know, there's a lot of people that won't even go to church.
I also want to point out, manipulators like to move fast. When you are moving fast, I've said this before, I don't even remember if I put it in a video or not. When you're moving really fast, like say you're moving 80 miles per hour down the road, right? And there's a cop right here, and you're going 8. This is the cop, this is you, you're going 80. Guess what you do? You miss the cop. Now the cop's behind you, and now you're getting pulled over. But when you're going the speed limit, you're going to the normal cadence of a relationship, you have time to realize things. When you're speeding through a relationship, you miss stuff. This is how they can confuse you. They can show you exactly what you want to see because you're moving so fast. They don't have to actually show up and be who they need to be. You're still in that honeymoon phase. You never even got out of that, and now you're getting married. And then they get that ring on your finger, and then they show you who they really are. It's messed up. Don't go too fast, because a manipulator, they want you to go fast enough that you miss stuff. Pay attention to everything. Note every red flag. Decide, because people are going to have red flags. At the end of the day, you can't avoid that, right? But you got to decide, is this red flag something that I'm willing to deal with now and maybe for the rest of my life or not? And if the answer is no, get up out of there. I know that they'll sit here and make you believe that there's not better out there. There is better out there. If you're not compatible with somebody, there's somebody out there that you're more compatible with. But you cannot move too fast with these people, because they get you where they want you. They're going to play right in your face.
Right? If it's not on Easter and Christmas. So that's a really big deal. I bet she felt elated. I bet she felt on top of the world. She said he found out that he had been dealing with somebody else in the church after that sermon. Somebody reached out to her and let her know, right? In fact, it was the secretary's daughter, because he had been sleeping with the secretary at one point, but then also started to sleep with her daughter, and she knew about that.
He had an inappropriate relationship with a member of his church while he was dating me. That person is the daughter of his former secretary.
So the daughter wanted to contact. Sorry. Woo! This is like an episode of Jerry Springer or Steve Wilkos. So the daughter wanted to inform her, like, yeah, you know, this is what you might be getting yourself into. She was very upset. She confronted him about it. She said that after he begged and he pleaded and he did the work, I'm trying to figure out, they haven't been even together for 2 years. So I'm trying to figure out, what work did he do? How long did it take to complete said tasks? And was that work efficient enough and, you know, and done correctly and properly enough for you to sit up here and say that you were going to ignore all of these flags, all of these things that he had done before? Sleeping with the secretary and the daughter is wild. That story alone would have done it for me. What do you mean?
I just want to say, I didn't hear a part about the secretary being slept with. I heard a part about the secretary's daughter being slept with. I didn't hear the part about the secretary and the daughter. So details are a little sorted. Just gonna throw that out there, because I'm not 110% sure that I understood that part of the story.
What do you mean? She asked him to fire the secretary. If I'm the secretary, I'm like, what did I do? Right?
But that said, Sleeping with the secretary's daughter, sleeping with it don't matter who he slept with in the congregation. You are the pastor. What are you doing sleeping with people in the congregation that are not your wife? Again, the hypocrisy. You need to get married. You don't have relations until after you're married. But you out here throwing it around like it's a damn frisbee, just willy-nilly with it. And it's everybody in the dang church. The woman's from the church, the secretary's daughter's obviously a part of the church. Like, what's going on? Why can't y'all keep it in your pants? I get it, you're men, it's your instincts, and it's just too much. But like, why? Y'all, why? Ugh.
I just had this relationship before you even came about.
The demand that I made was I asked him to let go of his secretary.
She asked him to fire the secretary. She didn't want the secretary anywhere near her. He did that. And so that made her believe that he was really serious and he was ready to move on to the next chapter, which I guess was, of course, the marriage and the baby. This doesn't make any sense at all. I think that there's this.
It doesn't. Learning that again, learn the hard way. Somebody cheats on you, or somebody's doing something like behind your back, right? You catch them, and then you give them a demand. I did it with I need you to block the person that you cheated on me with. Cool. That person could be out of the picture, or they could not. They could block them on one thing and then have their phone number as Pizza Hut on the other end. Or, which tends to happen as well, they do what you ask them to do, but they find somebody new and they go and repeat the same thing that they did to disrespect you again. Because this silly B word really thought that trying to control me and hold me down was going to make me stop being a cheater. Let me show you something. Like, it's crazy when they do things like this, and you gotta make them do something that you don't feel like they want to do on their own because they didn't do it on their own. Get out of there. Get up out of there, because there's more to come. It's always more to come.
Huge pressure that society puts on people, specifically women, to get married, have the baby. You got the guy, right? And that connection and chemistry and whether or not you're going to function well with another human being is just like it is off of the movies. She said that she went to church and when he came in, she just knew. She said, that's mine. That's going to be my husband. We don't know nothing about demons. Be dressed well. Not to call this man a demon. Demons be dressed well. Demons be laying D down. Demons smell good, look good, everything.
We do not battle with flesh and blood, but with spirits and principalities and all that good stuff. He might not be a demon, but he's obviously got a demon of lust within him. And that's why he keeps doing this. Like, and yes, she's not lying. Demons are the most attractive, seductive, like charismatic, friends with everybody people. And that's how they get you. That's how they get. Look up most serial unalivers, like Ted Bundy. Start with Ted Bundy. Go down the list. You're gonna notice something about him. He was a great guy. He was charismatic. Everybody loved him, and he was a part of the community. And he did this, and he did. You can easily put the wool over people's eyes when you represent yourself as an angel. Even the devil was once an angel. Remember that. And guess what that means? The devil knows how to dress up like an angel, because he remembers what it took for him to be an angel at one point.
Good as well. And demons, unfortunately, the devil knows the Bible better than anybody. So I I'm not judging. But I'm saying that she let these temporary feelings and emotions really lead her to make these permanent decisions. And a lot of women do it. They go out on their honeymoon in Italy. And then 13 weeks later, as she's telling the story, 13 weeks later, she figures out and finds out that she's pregnant.
You get married in August. You go to Italy for your honeymoon in August and you get pregnant. The first day of your honeymoon. Surprise! I am 13 weeks pregnant.
She finds out that she's pregnant. She says pregnant, butt naked, and on the couch folding clothes, she receives a knock at the door, a ding to the dong. She says that she goes and answers the door and she's being served divorce papers.
You get up because you are naked on the couch trying to fold laundry because the only clothes that fit are the clothes that you are washing because you're pregnant. Find something, you throw it on, you go to the door. It is a woman there. She asks, "Are you Tyler?" You say yes. She hands you a paper and says, "You've been served." I open the paper and it's divorce papers.
Prior to being served divorce papers, he was acting weird. They didn't live together, even though they were playing house. He had moved out, but then he goes over there in order to play house. That's a what? You're not going to play house over here. Are you paying the bills? Let me know if you're paying the bills. Let me know if I'm tripping down below. If you will let a man play house with you as long as he pays the bills. I don't know. I don't really like games, so I don't play too much about anything, to be quite honest with you. But He was away. Right? And then he had gotten mad over a napkin. One day he randomly gets mad over a napkin. He doesn't want to be there anymore, so he leaves. She asks him to come back, and sometimes he leaves, and sometimes he stays gone. And even at church, right, she'll tell him, "Wow, you did lovely. You did such a good job on that sermon. What are we doing after this? Are we going to get brunch? What are we doing?" And he'd say, like, "No, I just want to go home. I just want to take a nap. I just want to leave and go back to my space." And it's like, well,
after church, you go up to your husband and tell him how great of a job that he preached and that you asked him if he wanted to go get some brunch afterwards or like what his plans were. And he said that he had a headache and he was going to go lay down.
Straight up. I mean, if that didn't tell you that he wasn't interested, she finds out that he has a girlfriend, that he's had a girlfriend. Now, a lot of people are calling this woman a side chick. The wife's name is Twiggy B. The girlfriend / side is named Carrie. But Carrie comes out, funny as Carrie comes out and says, "I'm not a side chick and I'm being dragged." I don't know who was dragging her because when the wife came out to tell her story, I don't believe she said anybody's name. But I guess maybe the church knows because the church always knows. The church always knows. She said she had been dragged. She said, "I am not a side chick. I was his girlfriend. We were together for 3 years. We lived together." What are you talking about?
I am not someone that is maintaining an inappropriate relationship with your husband or anybody for that matter. I am not somebody who wants to intervene or get in the middle of your relationship. This person and I dated for approximately 3 years. We started dating in June of 2021, and I also loved and cared about him. I also experienced all of the lavish trips and Michelin star restaurants and truly feeling like somebody loved and cared about me and truly felt like I could trust him.
He is a man that doesn't want to be alone. He is another man that is filled with lust. This man wants to have a lot of sex and create a lot of relationships and add a lot of emotional bonds with people, right? And soul ties with people just to cut him off when he feels fit, to cut it off when he feels like he no longer is getting from you, right? When you're no longer a supply for him, he's going to cut that off and he's going to go on to somebody else. And that's what he's doing. He's playing these two women like a fiddle, and that's crazy that a baby is involved. The ex-wife said that it's going to be very difficult, right? And she's asking for prayers because she said it might be very difficult for her to love this girl that she's having with this pastor like she loves her son because of how this baby was conceived. And I think that that's really messed up. I applaud her for being vulnerable and for being honest because that's what a lot of women and men feel when they look at their children. I just hate that that's a thing because the baby genuinely didn't do anything. Right? And she even says she thought about sending the baby to Jesus daycare. That is a new way to say it. But every time she thought about, terminating the pregnancy, she felt sick to her stomach. So she just couldn't do it. Some women just can't do that.
And every time that I talked about terminating, I literally got sick to my stomach.
And again, if you're that woman that doesn't want to ever drop your kids off to Jesus's daycare, hallelujah, that's absolutely fine. I'm, pro-choice, pro-life, whatever you are. Me personally, I'm pro making the right choice for you. Make the right choice for you.
I agree.
These women come out. Of course, all this drama is happening. So the pastor has a message for the church. Again, these are internet beefs that pastors decide that they want to go ahead and address during Sunday service. He said that he had to make the hard choice, right? He asked for privacy, first of all. And then he said that he's upset because this private situation had to be turned public. But he decided to dissolve his marriage so that he could stay physically, and mentally whole.
I will stay.
So I do want to bring context because I did watch a full breakdown of the video. Old boy got hit by a car. Old boy, there's a story that Tyler, this woman, just hit him because she was mad and jealous and da da da. There's an altercation that's spoken about, and apparently that altercation is him getting hit by this car. Tyler explains that she did not hit him with the car. She was trying, excuse me, she was trying to leave, and he jumped on the car, fell off the car, and that was him getting hit by the car. Now, I wasn't there. I'm giving you a secondhand account from what I watched from the breakdown with Tyler. But that said, to take that incident and use it to be a victim and manipulate, you're a sick person. You're blaming this woman when there are not one, not two, but three women involved in this story. There's Tyler, there's this girl that is at the church, and there's another woman that he was cheating on this woman Tyler with.
Stand here today and boldly stand by my decision to dissolve my marriage so that I can be physically safe and mentally whole. And through all the noise, I want you to know I'm grateful to be alive.
So I don't know which one of the women, I'm not going to, point any fingers, but I don't know which of the women said, hey, I'm going to beat your ass. You've embarrassed me. You've got me up in front of this congregation. Everybody thinks I'm the first lady. I'm no longer the first lady. You don't want me anymore. You're sleeping with the secretary. You're sleeping with the secretary's daughter. You're sleeping with this other girl. This other girl comes out. Listen, I'm going to beat your I don't know who said that, if anybody did, but he said that he had to dissolve his marriage for his own physical safety and mental wholeness, and that he was going to take a sabbatical because it was just a lot on him. That is a mess. And you know what? Again, if the congregation says, okay, if the congregation says, not my pastor, if the congregation says, I don't care that my pastor is sleeping with all these women, that doesn't have anything to do with me. I want him to convict me for not doing my laundry or being gay. I want him to talk about that LGBTQ community. I don't want him talking about the Jezebels. I don't want him talking about protecting children. I want him talking about politics. It really depends on what church you go to. It really depends on the type of people that attend said church. And
you see the hypocrisy? You're going to get up here and talk about people liking the same sex, but you have this whole mess and circus going on behind closed doors while you get up here trying to convict me for doing what it is I do that's a sin. When as a pastor, you of all people should not be sinning like this. And this is where people get this church hurt. Because it's like, I sit here, I listen to you shame me, and convict me every Sunday for you to turn around and this is how you're acting. This is crazy.
if you know anything about country down to listen south churches, not to say this happened in Minneapolis, but I'm just saying, if you know anything about it, the congregation don't care. The congregation don't care. And the goal of these pastors, content creators, podcasters is to gain most audience they can, the most eyes over here, because more eyes means more tithes. Hello. Clock the T. Let me know if you think I'm tripping in the comments below. I'm going to meet you there.
Girl, you ain't tripping at all. I don't feel like I'm tripping, but y'all can let me know what you think of my commentary and the video. Of course, it's going to be linked below if you want to watch it without seeing me yap. But yes, thank y'all for coming to Tab's space. I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.